hear from Ms. Jill Christensen. She is the director of our VISTA program, as well as the grants administrator in our programs department.
Thanks, Janina. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the donor engagement that is available here in establishing funds at ACF. There's a wide variety of the engagement that any particular donor can participate in with establishing a field of interest fund or a donor advised fund here at ACF. One example would be our Arizona Horse Lovers Fund. This was a fund that was established by multiple donors who all had the same common interest in wanting to provide monetary assistance for organizations that serve the horse industry. So they pulled their money together, opened up a fund with us, and they have a very high level of engagement in this fund. With that, we are able to create guidelines and eligibility requirements for the organizations that are eligible to receive funding in that particular interest area. So that committee of donors works with the ACF staff to develop these grant guidelines. Once those are developed and decided upon, we're able to open up a grant cycle for requests for proposals on our website. That is also managed by the ACF staff. They'll receive all the proposals for the eligible projects that would fit under the auspice of that interest area. After about a month or so of having the grant cycle being open, we would close it, and the ACF staff then would vet the applicants before we opened it up for review. What that vetting means is that ACF staff investigates each one of those applications, each one of those applicant organizations, to ensure that they are in good standing with the IRS. They ensure that their nonprofit status is current and approved, and they also make sure that the organization is operating in fiscal solvency. So there's a high level of requirements that any organization must meet before they are deemed eligible to receive funding from ACF. After that vetting occurs, the ACF staff will then open up the panel review. So whether it's one donor themselves, the entire compilation of donors for that fund, or maybe just a smaller donor grants committee, whoever is in charge of reviewing those proposals are able to log on to our website. They have their own personal account as a reviewer. They'll be able to read all of the proposals, look at the budget. They also have a direct link to the standard organizational profile that we have on our website. That's a main requirement for any applicant. This would give the donors any background information or basic information about the organization itself. Once they are reviewing the proposals, we can also provide them with a strategic way to really evaluate the projects that have been submitted. We can give them particular scoring guidelines to help them really think strategically about where their money is going to be going. We also have an avenue of with them to be able to provide comments, general comments about the proposal all around. This is an integral part of the whole grant process, in that ACF staff would then be able to use that information, use that feedback in a constructive manner to the applicants that are declined through the grant cycle. So that way, using this system, we're able to increase the capacity of our community by the organizations then improving upon their skills. At the end of the grant panel review then, all the members get together for a final meeting to make their final recommendations. Once those decisions are made then, the ACF staff goes back and notifies all those applicants, gets those grant agreements out, and of course then the grant checks themselves. So within this entire process, the major benefit here is that ACF staff is facilitating every step of the way. They're the ones who are managing all the proposals. They're the ones who are managing all of the administration that goes along with that entire process. All the donor cares about is reading those proposals and deciding on where the fund should go. That's the fun part. That's what they want to do. So that example right there just shows the breadth of how we can engage our donors when they establish funds with us. If they don't want to be that engaged in the process, they can pick up anywhere along the line on that, anywhere along the system. And when they establish a donor advised fund, in that example there, that was a very specific fund for horse lovers. But the beauty is that we're flexible enough to enable them to open up a larger field of interest for it to be more broad, so that that would encapsulate more organizations in the community that they could have an impact on. So we are constantly inviting our existing donors, any potential donors, to get a glimpse of what this process looks like by inviting them to serve on one of our many grant panels. We conduct many grant panels throughout the year in which we're always looking for new panel members to take part in the process and help that grant making take place. So within your packets, I've included some information on how to contact me and some information about our grant panels as a whole. So I would invite you to spread that information out.
Thank you, Janita. I've been asked to speak about 3 topics in 6 minutes, and I will speak as fast as I can. The first, which is our Target Adventures program, which refers back to our Center for Business Philanthropy. We embarked on a relationship with Target by inviting them to participate in one of our education-based grant panels. Community relations officer from San Francisco came, participated in it, and was so enamored with one of the grantees that we interviewed during the process, he wanted to fund them through Target. And we worked out a relationship such that they could fund that organization through ACF and then take advantage of the technical assistance that we were already providing to that grantee as a current existing grantee of ACF. So we provide that organization technical assistance such as applying for federal grants, letters of support, strategic planning, and Target really wanted to leverage that support and by not having to hire staff here in the local area to do that themselves to manage a grantee locally, they could take advantage of that opportunity through ACF. So that is how our relationship began with Target, but as we were working through that, they also shared that they were looking to localize a field trip program that they currently do nationally and focus in areas that they felt were important in their business. So we proposed to them that we could manage that program, and they basically just set the criteria, and we built a program around their wishes for them. So they wanted to give out field trips for K-8 schools in the Phoenix metropolitan area in Title I or low-income schools, and based on those criteria, we were able to pull together a program that really was perfectly designed for their wishes. And they didn't have to hire staff or spend a lot of extra staff time on Target's part to do so, because we already had that expertise in-house, both in running grant cycles and knowledge of the local education community. The benefit of that is that Target also focuses on arts and culture organizations in the community. And where do schools go for field trips but arts and culture organizations? So while the grants are going to school districts, the ultimate end of the money is the Phoenix Zoo, the Arizona Science Center, and the Phoenix Children's Museum. So it benefits both the educational side through the school districts and field trips, but also our arts and cultural organizations. I also participate in a larger education initiative. I manage 2 field of interest funds that are statewide education reform based. And so we really facilitate a lot of education grant making as well as some involvement in the policy environment and to help influence good policy for education. And also the Youth Philanthropy Initiative, which I think there's a handout in your packets for as well, which we just are at the cusp of launching. We have applicants that we're reviewing currently right now for a Youth Philanthropy Initiative, which gathers youth from 16 to 22 to learn about philanthropy and then practice it within their communities. So we're going to sort of open up the ACF toolbox to them and help them learn about philanthropy and practice it within their communities by participating in service projects and in issue areas that they really care about. So it will be very student-driven. We have a budget for them to do their own grant making within the community. So they will essentially participate in what Jill just described to you in issue areas that they care about, and whether that's the environment, animals, any issue that is important to them, they will come together as a group and talk about, interview nonprofit organizations, and then distribute grants based on the consensus of the group. So we're very excited about that. We're still accepting applications. If you know of young people who are interested in this or who you think would benefit from participating in this process, we're absolutely still open to accepting applications.